Okay, so looking at these questions from yesterday, for starters, let's look at costs. Just make sure this is working. Yeah, sorry, costs is equal to 1 over root 2. So for starters, cost is positive in this question. So if I start looking at question 10, okay, I am looking at the sections in which cost is positive. Okay, so if I'm looking sex and the city, cost is positive in this one because they're all positive, and cost is positive in this one. Okay, so I'm looking for cos theta is equal to 1 over root 2. So I want the reference angle. And yesterday I kind of said in the notes that for the reference angle, you're always taking the positive regardless. So theta is equal to cos inverse 1 over root 2, or you can simply look at your log tables, 1 over root 2, which will get you that theta is equal to 45 degrees. Okay, so that gets me that my angle is 45 degrees, okay, or my reference angle. So cos theta is absolutely definitely equal to 45 degrees. Okay, because 45 degrees is in quadrant 1, which is one of the quadrants that we're interested in. However, the second quadrant that I'm interested in is this one down here. So let's take green. Okay, so the second quadrant is down here. Okay, and that means that there is a reference angle here of 45 degrees. Okay, now that is 360 minus 45 degrees. Okay, so that means cos theta is equal to 1 over root 2 for 45 and 315 degrees. So they're my 2 degrees. Okay, now I could actually go further than this. It specifically says 0 to 360 degrees here. So for that reason, I stop. If, for example, this had said instead, which it very well may in other questions, say 0 degrees to 720 degrees. So 720 degrees is 2 full rotations. So in that case, it would be 45, 315, and then we'd start to go again. So then you'd have 360 plus 45. So then in that case, you'd have 405 as another possible angle. Okay, and 315 plus a full rotation. So you'd also be talking about 675. Okay, so just be carefully look at what the interval is. Okay, it's not always 0. Now, a lot of the time it is 0 to 360, but we'll be looking at questions eventually where it's not always 0 to 360. Okay, next question is question 11. Okay, and here again, we know that tan is positive. So I want to look at the sections in which tan is positive. Okay, so again, sex and the city. So I want to look at the first and the third quadrants. Okay, and I'm looking for A, which is tan inverse 1 over root 3. Okay, so you can use tan inverse on your calculator, or you can simply just look at the log tables. Okay, either way, you will get that A is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, now A equals 30 degrees. That is my reference angle. So it's a 30-degree reference angle here. Okay, so A is equal to 30 degrees because it's in the first quadrant. It's also a 30-degree reference angle here. Okay, so that is 180 degrees plus an additional 30. Okay, so you're also talking about, and A can be equal to 180 plus 30, which is 210 degrees. Okay, so they are the two values in which tan is positive and is equal to 1 over root 2, between 0 and 360. And again, if that was 2 full rotations, if it was 0 theta to 720, okay, so that would be 2 full rotations. All I would do to get the additional angles here would be I'd take 30, 210, and then I'd add 360. So I'd say 30 plus 360, 210 plus 360. Okay, and that would give me 30, 210, 390, and 570. Okay, if, okay, and that's a big if. Okay, we weren't actually asked that. So for this question, that is the answer. Okay. I'm just going to rub this off to give us some room for the next question. Bear with me. Okay, the last one, question 12. Okay, question 12 said sine theta is equal to minus root 3. So sine theta is equal to minus, is it root 3 over 2? Root 3 over 2. Okay, so for starters here, I know that sine is negative. So the negative sign basically tells me where this lies. Okay, so again, sex and the city. Sine is negative in the third and the fourth quadrants. Or you can simply say sine is the y-axis, so it has to be negative under the x-axis. Okay, so it's down here. Okay, so I'm looking for two angles in the third and the fourth. Okay, what I said yesterday was to ignore the sine when you're looking for the reference angle. Okay, so I'm just looking at, it won't work. I am just looking at this for the minute. Okay, and if you look on your log tables, you won't find the negative values. You'll find sine root 3 over you're divided by 2 when you look at that table. And that will give you that your reference angle is, and if I wanted to do it here, I could say sine inverse root 3 over 2. Okay, which will give me 60. Now that's my reference angle. It is negative. Okay, so it means it's 60 degrees in the third quadrant. So no, not 60 degrees. And it's 60 degrees in the fourth quadrant. Okay. Remember, we're always taking the reference angle to the horizontal. So this is 180 plus an additional 60. Okay, so I'm talking 240 degrees. This is 360 minus 60 because I'm gone back. So that is 300 degrees. So sine theta is equal to minus root 3 over 2 at 240 degrees and 300 degrees. Okay, when I'm saying ignore the minus sign, if you put that into your calculator, you will get minus 60 degrees. Okay, so in other words, minus 60 degrees means you are moving back from 0 to 60 degrees, which would be 300. That will only give you, and anytime you use your calculator for this, it will only give you one of the angles. You've really got to think of your unit circle and remember that there are two angles. So every angle in the unit circle has an exact matching angle. Okay, and there are four angles of value 60 as such. Okay, two positive, two negative. Okay, or of reference angle 60. Okay, so what is this? Was it sine theta? Theta, in this case, is equal to 240 and 300, and it is because sine is negative in the third and the fourth quadrants. Okay. Okay, these ones down here caused a little bit of difficulty as well, and you'll see I've literally screenshotted this from the worksheet you got. Okay, so it says tan B is 1 over root 3. Okay, so first of all, if I just look at tan B, tan is positive. Okay, so tan is positive in this section and this section. Okay, so that's that one. Sine B is equal to minus a half. Okay, so I'm looking at a negative sign. So it can either be here or here. Okay, so the only quadrant in which I could have both 1 over root 3, so in which tan could be positive, and a minus sign of a half is this one. Can have both plus tan and a minus sign. Okay, it's the only quadrant that I can have both a plus tan and a minus sign. Okay, now when I look at this, B is equal to tan inverse 1 over root 3. So shift tan 1 divided by root 3. I don't have my log tables, which is why I'm using the calculator, but you could simply just look at your log tables. You will get that B is equal to 30 degrees. Okay. sine B should be the same. So if I put in sine inverse, okay, so shift, sine, and put a half. And remember, I actually don't need to use the half because I'm only looking for the reference angle in this case. Okay. And I'll get 30 there as well. So this tells you here, okay, that the reference angle is 30. Okay. The signs tell you that it must be in the third quadrant because that's the only place where you can have a positive tan and a minus sign. And I know that from my signs up here, that's positive and that's negative. Okay. So I'm looking at a reference angle of 30. I'm going to go for a black in. I'll do a nice thick line here in the third quadrant. Okay, so this was 180 degrees. The reference angle is 30. So B must be 210 degrees. And in this case, it can't have two values because I'm looking for a value of B that can be both a positive 1 over root 3 tan and a negative 1/2 sine. Okay, it then asks us to express cos B as a surd. Okay, so it's still a reference angle of 30. Okay, so I still want to express, so cos B, okay, is cos 30, okay, which is root 3 over 2. Okay, and the only thing then I've got to think about is the sign. So in this section, in the third quadrant, cos is negative. Okay, so I give it a minus sign because of third quadrant. Okay, so I can't stress that enough. The sign just tells you where it lies. Okay, so if I was to look at the cos value for this angle in here, in the third quadrant, it would be a reference angle of 30, the same as the others had a reference angle of 30. Okay, and because it is in the third quadrant, cos is negative in the third quadrant, so it would be minus root 3 over 2. Okay, and if anybody's still struggling with that, please ask. Tan A is equal to 1/2 and 180. Sorry, and 180 is less than A, and A is less than 270. Find sine A in surd form. Okay, so first of all, tan A, I'll just change my pen so it doesn't overlap. Okay, tan A is equal to 1/2, and it's positive. So remember, it must lie, think about tan, it must lie in the first or third quadrants. Okay, it's bad spelling there. Okay, so first of all, A, okay, if I look at the log tables for tan of 1/2, okay, or tan of 1/2's not on your log tables actually. Does it ask it for? Okay, so A is equal to tan inverse 1 over 2. Tan 1 over 2. Okay, right, and you get a decimal answer for this. So it's 26.565 and so on. Now that's in the first quadrant, so that is correct. I'm then looking for sine of A, and it has to be 180. Sorry, it has to be between 180 and 270. So now this is not between 180 and 270. So 180 and 270 is the third quadrant. Okay, so because it's the third quadrant, I'm looking at this, the 26.565, okay, to be a reference angle in here. Okay, so 26.565, but this is still my reference angle for sine. Okay, so first of all, sine in this section is negative. Okay, sine in Q3 is a minus. So I know my answer is definitely going to be a minus. Okay, leave the 26.56505,118 on your calculator. Okay, and simply hit sine of that exact answer. Okay, sine of 0.44721, sorry, apologies, will be sine of the 26.565 and so on. And that gives me a value of 0.4472. So my calculator is not bringing me up a surd value. So it does ask for it in surd form there. Tan A is equal to